Welcome to Lesson 5.3, Writing Linear Equations in Point-Slope Form. Up to this point, we've been learning how to write equations using the slope-intercept form, which is the y equals mx plus b. In this video, we're going to talk about how to write it in point-slope form. Point-slope form is when you are given a point on the line and the slope, okay? And it is shown in this form right here, this highlighted part. It's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, where x1 and y1 are my point and m is my slope. All right, so let's look at an example. So consider the line that passes through point 2, 3 and has a slope of 1 over 2 or 1/2, okay? I am going to think about this information that I have. I have a point y1, y2, or x1, I'm sorry, y1, which is 2, 3, okay? So I have this information, and I'm going to plug it into my point slope information. I know what my slope is because it's given it to me right here. It's 1/2, okay? And I'm going to plug in that information right into this equation. So I have y minus 3, because 3 is my y value, equals 1/2 my slope times x minus 2, 2 being my x value. Okay, so let's look at how to do this in another example. So it says write an equation in point slope form of the line that passes through the point -1, 4 and has a slope of -2. So I'm immediately going to think of my formula. I've got y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So I know that my slope is going to be -2, so I'm just going to write -2 right here because I know that that's my slope. And my x value in this case is -1. Because in the formula it says minus x1, it would technically be minus -1, but I'm just going to simplify the minus negative and make that into a positive sign because a negative negative equals a positive. So plus 1. And then on this side I have y minus, my y value in this case is 4, so I'm just going to do y minus 4. And that's it. That's the equation of my line in point slope form. It's easy as that. All right, let's look at another example. So if we wanted to graph this information, um, given the equation of a line in point slope form, okay, the first thing I'm going to look at is I know that that I have a slope of 2 over 3, and it passes through the point 3, -2. I got that from here. So 3, because this is positive 2, I know that in the formula it's actually y minus y1, so I know that it's going to be the opposite. So it's going to be -2. So I'm going to plot that point first. So if you look here, I have, I plotted my point 3, -2, and then I just used my slope and I rose 2, ran 3 to make another point. Drew a line in between those 2 points, and there I've got my graph. All right, so let's try another example with that. So it says graph the equation y minus 1 equals negative x minus 2. Okay, so first I'm going to just figure out what my slope is and then figure out what my point is. Okay, so my slope my equation looks a little different because I do not have a number right here in front of the parentheses. I just have a negative sign. Anytime you just see a negative sign in front of a parentheses, just know that there's a -1 here. So the slope in this case is going to be -1. And my 2 points that I'm going to, or my point that I'm going to graph is going to be 2 1 because I have my x value of 2 and my y value of 1. So I'm going to graph that over here. I'm going to go over 2, 1. So there's my first point. And then my slope is -1, or I could also think about it as -1 over 1. So I'm going to fall 1, run 1. Do it a couple times. All right, and then draw my line as straight as I can through those points. And there I have it. I've just graphed that equation. Okay? All right. Um, Another way we can do this is if we are given just a graph and we want to show the equation in point slope form. Okay, we want to write the equation in point slope form. So what I'm going to do first is I'm actually going to figure out what my slope is. In this case, I can do two different things. Since I have a picture of the graph, I can just look at the graph and say, okay, I'm going down 1, 2, so -2, running 1, 2, +2, -2 over 2 equals -1. Or I can also plug in my point information into my slope formula and also get -1. So right away I know my slope is -1. Now, the next step is to just pick one of the points that you want to use. It does not matter which one you use. You can use -1, 3, or you can use 1, 1. In this case, they're giving you both methods. So the first one, if I were to pick -1, 3, I would plug in -1 to my x value right here. It would become x plus 1. And then 3, so that would be for my y value, so that would be y minus 3. So this would be the equation of my line going through -1, 3. If I wanted to use 0.11, same sort of idea, just plug in my x and my y value, and it's right here. Okay. If I wanted to check to make sure that they are truly congruent equations, that they're equal to each other, I can go through and solve them out if I really wanted to. And if you notice, if I were to solve this one, the answer would be y equals -x plus 2. Same thing, this one would be y equals -x plus 2, showing you that they are in fact equivalent. All right, last example in this video. Write an equation in point slope form of the line that passes through the points 2, 3 and 4, 4. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find my slope between my 2 points. So I'm just writing out my slope formula here just so I remember it. Well, y2 minus y1 equals, or over x2 minus x1. Plug in my information, so I'm going to go 4 minus 3, remember y's go on top, and then 4 minus 2. So 4 minus 3 is 1, 4 minus 2 is 2, so my slope is 1 over 2. Okay, now it's time to just plug it into that point slope 4, the y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So I'm going to plug in my information. I'm going to pick one of my points. In this case, I'm just going to pick 0.23. So I'm going to do y minus 3, because that's my y value, equals my slope, 1/2 times x minus 2, which is my x value. All right, and that's the equation of my line in point slope form. All right, that's all I have for you today. Please let me know if you have any questions. Make sure that you really practice that formula and get it in your head because you're going to need to memorize it. Okay, thanks. Bye.